Welcome to EXCIA. I am so honored to be with Dan, owner of Jome. Dan, how are you, sir?
It's good. It's good, Roland. Thank you for having me.
Good. Could you pronounce your last name? I didn't even want to try to say it because I know you're from the wonderful country of Ukraine. So how do you say your last name?
Yeah. So I'm from Ukraine. My last name has Polish origin. It's Hnatkovskyy.
There we go. Well, thank you. I'm not even going to try. Dan, too, you're great friends. So a lot of people don't know what Jome is yet. So I'm just going to play a recording to give people a sample of what you do. And then why don't we talk right after that? Would that be okay?
Sounds great.
All right, let's do it.
Hello. Hi, is this Michael?
Yeah, this is Michael. Who is it?
Hey, Michael, this is Alex calling from. You visited our Liberty Hill community about 6 months ago and had a tour with Larry. He asked me to follow up. How have you been?
Oh yeah, I remember him. We had a great visit, but right now we decided to maybe take a step back from the whole home search thing because the high rates and everything else going on. We just decided to maybe wait until the right opportunity came back.
That makes total sense. Can I ask, was it mainly the interest rates that slowed things down for you, or was it more about finding the right home?
Honestly, it was a little bit of both. The rates were a little too high for our liking, and the homes that we liked were pushing past our budget once we started adding all the upgrades and everything else that we liked. It just didn't feel like it was the right time, and we decided to maybe wait it out until next year.
Got it. And what were you budgeting for monthly, if you don't mind me asking?
We were trying to stay around 2,500 a month, but we're willing to go up to 2,700 if it's the right home. But everything that we liked was well above that, especially with all the options and all the amenities that we wanted, like an open layout or a big kitchen.
Okay, that's really helpful. So the reason I'm calling is that we just opened a new community called Santa Rita Ranch, about 15 minutes from where you toured, is offering up to 35,000 in flex incentives right now, which can buy down your rate or cover upgrades. Some buyers are locking in around 5.9%. Would that kind of change make a difference for you?
35,000? Where would that come from? Because no one mentioned that to us when we visited last time.
It's a new program, yeah. And the homes at Santa Rita Ranch come with the everything's included package. So quartz countertops, smart home features, upgraded appliances. That's all included in the base price. What was the floor plan you and your wife were drawn to with Larry?
We really like the one with the open layout concept downstairs with the added flex room. Since we have two kids, we need all the space we can get. But that model was one of the ones that was way over our budget once we started adding all of our upgrades.
So there are actually two quick move-in homes at Santa Rita Ranch with that exact layout, starting in the low 400s, with the incentive applied to a rate buy down that could realistically land you in that 25 to 27 range you mentioned.
Really? Well, my wife and I have actually been talking about this, and she's actually been bringing it up lately that maybe we should start looking again. But if this is the right opportunity, we might actually look into this.
Only one way to find out, right? Larry has availability this Saturday morning. You could walk through those two homes and he'll run real numbers with the incentives for you. No commitment. Does Saturday work or is another day better?
Let me check my wife's schedule. Um, but yeah, I think Saturday could work. Let's do Saturday. What time do you have available?
How's 10 a.m.? Would that work for you?
Yeah, 10 a.m. works perfect for us. She's gonna be super happy when I tell her. And we really like Larry. He wasn't very pushy at all.
He's great. I'll send you a confirmation text right now with the address, Larry's number, and details on those two homes. So you can look them over together before Saturday.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll look those over, and I really appreciate your call. This is great.
Glad to hear it, Michael. We'll see you Saturday.
All right. Oh my goodness. So drop mic, exit stage left. So let's talk about what we just saw. Who out there thinks that was a real human being and who thinks that was AI? So that's what Dan's company has created. You've created outbound AI follow-up that is literally revolutionizing our builder industry, Dan. You've taken the builder industry by storm. And I know that you're specializing in this AI follow-up for builders. So let's get into it. Tell me about why you did this and how you did it, and let's see how it works. And also talk about how builders can find you.
Yeah, thanks, Roland. So yeah, we started Jome about 5 years ago after spending another 7 years before that on the intersection of home building and technology. And basically, like everything that we did in the past, like those 12 years was kind of like built around the idea, how can we help home builders sell new homes faster and help home buyers find a better way to home ownership through new construction
Right.
homes? And yeah, and that was kind of like part of the problem that we experienced, that uh, a lot of home buyers, they take time to make a decision and to move
Mhm.
forward. And at the
Right.
same time, like generally, if you look at any home builder or any organization that's working with new construction homes, the decision-making cycle is usually long, but also kind of like everyone is always expecting from you to hit quota, to deliver on sales, to drive those transactions, right? And what usually is happening that most of the people, no matter what they do, they focus on the deals that are in front of them, and they focus on the
Or
deals that
salespeople.
kind of
Yeah,
have the highest probability to close.
sure.
While in that moment, you naturally start to sacrifice a lot of other home buyers that are not ready to make a decision right now, and they're just sitting in the CRM waiting
Yep.
for someone to get back to them. And then what usually
Yep.
happens is they just go to someone else and try to like get some support. And
No,
that was
right. If I could just back that up with the statistics that a lot of times as salespeople, we just work with those people that are really hot and they're buying within 30 days. But NHB research talks about 8 to 10 months. It might even be back to 12 months of looking now before someone makes a buying decision. So if you meet them at the very beginning of their journey or the top of the funnel, as it were, and you don't
yeah.
follow up, you quit following up too early, then it's just a wasted opportunity. So I totally agree with what you're saying, that most salespeople are going to just naturally gravitate
Yeah.
towards the most recent hot leads.
Yeah, and that was also the problem that we were dealing with. So at the beginning of Jome, we were operating as a new construction marketplace, and
Mhm.
throughout our journey, we generated more than 300,000 of new construction home buyer leads, and we
Wow.
helped thousands to buy homes. But then what's been happening that even with the OSC team that had as many as like 20 concierges, and basically that's how we called our
Wow.
OSCs, we were not able to consistently follow up with anyone because we tried to do like all of the right things, right? So we would do email drip campaigns, we would send text messages, we would try to automate as much stuff as possible. But at the end of the day, the only thing that really worked were like, there was the mix of all of those things, primarily phone calls and the text messages and emails in the right way at the right timing. But then when we were trying to make people do it, they would just literally start hating their job because we would demand making certain number of phone calls a day. We would see that, like, I mean, that was working, but still that was like very, very exhausting.
Mhm.
And then we started thinking, like, if there is a different way to do that, how can we like, since we from the beginning we were a technology company, how can we leverage technology to drive the similar great experience while
Right.
not making our OSCs to really like hate their job? And we're really lucky to live at this point of time and experience all of these things that are happening with the AI. And we just started investing more into large language models, in AI, in voice AI specifically. And we kind of like built something that we call AI super employee for home builders. So that's
I
naturally
like it.
what,
It's nice.
yeah, that's naturally what Joe is right now, right? So that's AI
Yeah.
super employee that can work 24/7, can support the communication with hundreds of home buyers at the same time, following your workflows, your
Yeah.
playbooks,
Yeah.
your tone of voice and everything, and deliver that's like, very personalized customer
Yeah.
experience to everyone. And that's like naturally what we've done. And turned out that a lot of builders are interested in getting it themselves. So
Right. So you started this because you own Jome, and Jome was, as you said, a real estate marketplace where you advertise new homes for builders across the country. I think in previous conversations, you told me you had many thousands of sales and almost 1 billion or something, some very big number.
Yeah,
What was it?
correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were in 55 locations. You did almost 1 billion in sales. You had many salespeople that sort of worked for you with the end, if you were, that were waiting for the leads. But you just found from personal experience that they weren't going to follow up, or they just couldn't. They didn't really have capacity. I know that to be true. I've spent my whole life in new home sales, and I know that I would sit down on a Tuesday morning to make follow-up calls, and I would get to 40, 45 outbound phone calls. I might connect with 2 or 3 people. The rest is messages, and you just get burnt out. You just can't keep that kind of workflow up, and it might take 102 phone calls to get to a real buyer that day. So I totally understand why you would create
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
And it's
Can you?
also like, that was part of my personal experience. I also,
Right.
I tend to, I had a lot of selling experience. I had to do it
Yeah.
myself. And there's this moment like right before you're picking up the phone and you start making calls, and you're just like, there's this strong pushback from inside of you. Like you start thinking about like how annoying
Sure,
that's
yeah.
gonna be. Like you're
Make
gonna call
excuses.
them,
Maybe, yeah.
yeah, and
I'll
they're
look
gonna
at
be
reels
rude
one
to
more
you.
time.
Yeah, and then like there's other things, and you just like you kind of like try to delay that moment the most. Then you do it,
Right,
you get through that, right? You get through a lot of
right.
no's, and then yeah, it's good when you have a positive experience and you made some
Yeah,
appointments or you made some sales,
yeah.
and it's usually how it happens. But then like just that emotion,
Right.
like that's like I remember feeling myself like so drained after that. At the end of the day,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
just like
Can
not many things you want to do after,
Right. If
and
and if I can
yeah,
keep moving it forward, because I know a lot of people that are listening or watching will, have an agenda themselves of things they probably would love to ask you. So I know we've spoken before, and you've said that your goal is to not replace any humans whatsoever. We're not replacing humans. Can you talk about what Jome does better than us humans? And to me, it's like when they asked Ford about what he was going to, what he should create. Or he asked him what people wanted. He said, well, people want me to create faster horses, and I created a car instead. And I think that what we think we want are more OSCs or more people making phone calls, but you've created something that's so different. Can you sort of speak to what it does differently and how you do it, if you don't mind?
yeah, sure. So in general, like I think that people are incredibly important part of any real estate transaction and
Of
any
course.
sort of human interaction. And people are really good in empathy, in connecting with other people and creating
Right.
just like, personal experience. But people generally are not really good in doing like massive routine tasks. People also are not really good in using software and like logging all of the work that they've done. And people are
Right.
not really good in working with large amounts of data. And that's effectively what we do, right? So we're kind of like we're thinking of Joe as the extension of home builder sales team that's kind of like taking on tasks that people don't really like to do and are not really good at doing, right? So obviously, as you mentioned, our edge case, like something that like people and builders enjoy the most, it's our age lead follow up. And the
Mhm.
reason why I think people like that the most because you're able to get a massive amount of work done in a few weeks or months that usually would take humans to go through like in decades, right?
Right.
So that's
Yeah, yeah.
probably
Yeah.
that's one thing. But also, uh, home builders use Jome as online receptionist or just like as an
Okay.
OSC that works especially in after work hours or on the
Perfect.
weekends where
Yeah.
your OSC just like want to have a bit of a personal time.
Right.
It works well with warranty support tickets. It's working well with responding to emails. You're doing great job actually with speed to lead. We have builders who are using us with like all of the Zillow leads, website leads,
Really?
MLS leads. Yeah, they're going to your
How does that
email.
work? So
Yeah,
is that,
so
yeah.
yeah, it's very simple. It's just like imagine that you had a person that would refresh your email every minute, and then as soon as they see the lead coming up, They will call them, they will text them, they will email them,
Wow.
and they will help to
That's what
schedule an
your
appointment.
Jome does.
Yeah, that's what we do. And like this thing
Amazing.
is that if we're thinking about from a human perspective, it's almost impossible, right? You cannot keep track
No,
of
you can't,
everything
because
all the time.
people, I
And
know I work with hundreds of OSCs quite literally, and at 7 o'clock, say 8 o'clock, that's reasonable for them to turn off the phone and have a family life. That's, we're not shipping this overseas, or something like that. So you're saying that as soon as the OSC says it's time to turn off the light, then Jome kicks in and basically starts reacting immediately to any leads that come in all night long.
exactly. Or, also like, I mean, we're lucky to work with a lot of builders who have OSCs, but also especially some of the smaller or mid-sized builders, they don't have that structure. Or they may have one OSC that's usually getting like very overwhelmed because they're doing a lot of stuff. And then they have sales reps that are taking care of the inbound inquiries and everything else. And then sometimes the person is on a tour and the phone is like
True, actually,
ringing.
right. During the day, you could be at
Yeah,
work, but you can't handle things all the time when you're in
exactly. And
retail. Yeah, that's
yeah,
exactly
and by
right.
the moment you're able to call the person back, they're already
Yeah,
called another builder or they just went
there
elsewhere.
we go.
So
Yeah,
sometimes also what we're
It
able to
sells.
do, and like we see that bringing a lot of value, that we can set up our AI in a way that like it's making like 3 rings. If the real person is not picking up the phone, then the phone call is getting
Really? It
redirected to
steps in.
our AI.
Wow. Best of
Yeah,
both worlds. I love it.
and
It's so incredible. And I know that before you turn on it, you turn on Jome, and full transparency, you contacted me about a year ago. We met maybe a year and a half ago for training, and then you contacted me with the new AI maybe 3 or 4 months ago. And at least 4 of the builders we work with have now tried it and absolutely love it and are swearing by it. So I have a lot of insight into what you do. What I love about it is that you turn it on within a week or two. Normally when you invest in technology, without mentioning other names, but there are companies that it might take a year to get to turn it on. Your team really comes in and envelops the builder team to make sure
yeah,
they can use it. But the main thing is you listen to them. You read the notes in the CRM. You listen to cool rails if there are. You'll even watch videos. I'm sorry, I'm taking all your best stuff from you, but I just can't believe how well versed you are, or how you immerse yourself in that builder's voice before you start making outbound coins. Sorry, that wasn't really a
yeah.
question.
Thank you,
We'll get you
Roland.
fine, but you can.
But that's in general. Like I mean, I think that's the part of what I mentioned before. What we kind of like try to do better than humans. That humans in general are not really good in using software, and that's the problem with a lot of tools that are out there. That before you start getting any value out of that, you need to train your staff to use them. Sometimes they have to relearn from some other things they've been using, and
Yeah,
then it's taking like that's taking quite some time to adopt, right?
yeah,
But we at Joe, we believe that good software should be invisible. You shouldn't be learning to use some stuff because it's just like it should bring value. And if it doesn't bring value, if it creates like more
right.
work and it's actually extracting value that you can generate by spending more time with your buyers, like with
Yeah,
customers,
yeah,
then it doesn't make sense. So we just try to set it up in a way that it works itself.
yeah.
We help to operate it and provide like a white glove setup experience because at the end of the day, that's
Quick
kind of like
too.
yeah, that's the only thing that really matters, right? And we're just like we've been trying to figure out like how to do it even faster. But like at the end of the day, every time we do something, we try to think from the perspective. Let's imagine that you had a human that you would hire for that work. How long do you think it would take to onboard them? How long would it take to make them start working? And it's just like, I mean, it's pretty natural. If you're getting an intern or you're getting another OSC, you expect them to start working in 2 weeks from the moment you gave them the offer.
Okay,
You
2 weeks is
expect
fair. Yeah,
them yeah,
yeah,
you expect them to start making calls. You expect them to start making appointments. You expect them to become better in what they do over a
yeah,
month's time,
yeah.
right? And
But
we think
mhm.
of that in the same way, but just like on a 10x scale of value because it doesn't have capacity limitations, it doesn't have learning limitations, it doesn't have
Right,
time limitations. So that's what we think like ideal OSC would be like if we were able, to
right.
find
Yeah,
and clone them.
yeah. And I want to go back to also some sort of capacity stuff, which we never really finished talking about. But let's finish the onboarding. So what it'll do Can you tell us about notes in the CRM and the level of thoroughness? Like that call that we just listened to, that AI, he knew about the special incentives. He knew which neighborhood to send the buyer back to. So how
Yeah.
do you get that level of depth and and integrity into your AI process here?
Yeah. So there's three sources where we were getting that information, right? The first one is basically all of the information that we find in the CRM, as you mentioned, right? So
Right.
every lead that we are working with, or our AI is working with, usually has at least some info. We know when they signed up. We know what kind of community or where they came from. If we're lucky, and because it's not happening all the time, we have some notes and some activities in the
Yeah.
CRM. We know
It doesn't
who
all the
was the
time, right?
sales rep, who talked to them, and we have some information. That's the first part. The second part, we work together with Builder, and we try to understand what Builder is trying to achieve with that. And what is the Builder currently offering? What's kind of like they're trying to communicate to the customers? And usually that can be like that they're just opening a new community, or they're running a special incentive, or they have like a new program or a new plans that they just released, and they just like want people to know about that and basically use that information to bring them to the appointment. And then the final thing, it's kind of like our AI brain in general. So every time we're interacting with consumers and every time we're having a conversation, at this point we had like hundreds of thousands of conversations, it kind of like learns itself how to become better, how to use information better, and how to drive better conversion. And for example, in that call that you listened to at the beginning, like AI brings up the name of the sales rep that toured with them 6 months ago. And that's kind of like, and I really like that example because it kind of shows how AI is able to learn it, because originally that wasn't prompted, right? So we didn't train AI to use that information, but it kind of like started doing that organically, and then realized that like every time it brings up the name of the sales rep that previously interacted with the home buyer, then the conversion is better. And the same thing we
Definitely,
did
because the
actually
buyer
with,
understands that it's legit. That this, I met so-and-so, I met Frank over in that neighborhood, and it immediately, our human brain goes, oh, this is true. I get that. That's right. So if you miss that out, you got less chance of connecting with the buyer. They might,
correct.
where, I don't remember where I was, or they might be suspicious of it. So
Yeah. The same thing about the way how we optimize for the time that we
yes,
like reach out, right? So we kind of like having hundreds of thousands of calls. We've learned that there are specific time frames when people are more likely to pick up their phone, and very often, like, and that's very natural, right? Like if you think
yeah,
from
it's fascinating.
like about it, like, from the logical standpoint, really, like, I mean, people are usually busy when they're at work. When they're at work, they're working. That means that they cannot talk to someone. But when they're going to work, when they're having a lunchtime, when they're coming back from work, they're usually more available. If you try to explain this as a concept to the sales rep or OSC, there's not much they can do about it, because like,
No,
I mean,
because they're driving to
like,
work too. Yeah,
as they're driving to work too, they're also having a lunchtime, and you as their boss, like, you want them to call as many people as possible, and they have to call like one person at a time throughout the day. And that naturally means that, like, I mean, they're calling people when they're not able to pick up.
Yeah.
But if you're AI, you can make like almost like hundreds or thousands of calls at the same time. You can time it like 2 to 5 minutes. You can call them specifically from 9:35 to 9:40, and then like 12:20 to 12:30, right? And you can get much better results. And it's like one of the things where like people just usually not able to compete. And also what we've learned, that if you do those touch points in the right way, let's say you called in the morning, sent a text message, then you called again in the lunchtime, left the voicemail, and called in the afternoon, it's more likely that you will connect with a person versus you call them in the middle of one meeting, in the middle of other meeting, and before they go to bed.
Amazing. So and if I can clarify, I think you sort of gave a narrow window of 5 or 10 minutes, but isn't it more like a morning drive from 45 minutes or so, and then there's a lunchtime opening? Because let's say somebody listening to this doesn't hire Jome and just wants to know how to be more effective at follow up. your advice is call in the morning when they go to work, call at lunch when they're on break, and call on their way home. Those are the 3 optimal times. Could you be
Yeah,
more
yeah. Like
specific
I
as to
think
what that
that's
window of
the
opportunity really
general.
is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
We're talking
general
8 to 9
way.
o'clock, 8 to 8:45, and what are we thinking?
Yeah, like then noon to 1, usually that's a really good time. Sometimes like slightly before noon works
2 to
well.
1,
And
okay.
then yeah, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, that's like another time, but like everything that happens after is
Right,
actually like really like more of an inactive time. But
right, and then
I think that in general, like I mean, that's the best thing that anyone can do. Just like try to imagine themselves at the place of that buyer. Imagine that you have the similar
right,
life cycle, the similar day, and what are you doing at that moment? And then like when you actually are able or
right,
interested to
right.
talk to someone.
Yeah, and if I can jump back in, we're saying that definitely phone calls is more effective than email drip campaigns and even text messages, or is it a combo of phone and text that you find optimizes? And
Yeah,
also, how many phone calls before you? What's the sweet spot of contacts, and then when does it tailor off where you may as well just say, hey, that lead's never going to respond?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think that in general there
Thank you.
should be a mix of all, and even like that's also what's really important, the way how you're sending text messages, because there's like what we also discovered that if you're sending a text message in a plain text, and it can be just like a
Okay.
huge one big text, people not likely to respond to that. If you send a text message and you split it like in 3 or 4 and you go like,
Oh,
hey Roland, how you doing? I just want to let you know about like the thing that we're running. How about scheduling a quick tour for a next week? You split it in 3 messages, right? Or something
really?
like this.
Oh, I'm
It
learning all
looks
the time from you. I love it. I love learning, and my head explodes with excitement. My synapses
yeah,
now like, oh, there's something new I didn't know about. So you're saying smaller little um, uh, bite-sized text messages, not these big, long cut and paste things that we get sometimes.
yeah, yeah. In general, and that's like that's also quite a complicated thing to do. And if you see that way, this usually means that like human is behind that. But in a way, like very often when we're trying to do something, we try to create a better behavior. It's not that we are just trying to think, oh, like what is another way to use AI to get a higher conversion? We're thinking
Right,
about how do people usually interact with each other, and what is actually more likely to prompt a response or a positive
right,
reaction.
right, right.
And yeah, and regarding the question that you asked, right? So like what we discovered that like if you call someone just like one time, it's probably has like it has a minimal impact on the conversion, really.
Right, right. One doesn't
But
count.
then
Okay.
yeah, and then like you actually we have different conversion benchmarks depending on the market, depending on the type of the leads. But what we
Sure.
learned that is like more or less commonly true across all of the segments, that you're able to get to 80% of the conversion benchmark. Let's say that your conversion target is 5%, and you're able to get to like 4% usually
Mhm.
after like 6 to 8 touch points.
6 to
And
8
then
calls. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and then you're able to get to like 95% of your conversion benchmark within like 16, 18 touch points, right? So
Okay. So
usually when
yeah.
we do a lead reactivation campaign, we try.
What we heard. You're going to call in the morning, maybe 8 to 9 o'clock, call at lunchtime, call on the way home. Those are 3 optimal times to call. So there's that. The other thing is that I get the question all the time as a sales coach, how many times, how often should I follow up? And I've always said until they either come back in or tell you, don't call me again. But what you're saying, a better answer is between 6 to 8. So an average of 7 phone calls is really that sweet spot, or 7 outbound contacts combining phone and text is most likely to get you that 80% of your results. If you keep going, you still might get some more of that final 20%, but your sweet spot really is about 7 phone calls. Does that sound about right?
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And
good.
that's also
Okay.
like that's the part that we're doing internally. So obviously, like I mean, even when we're working with builders, it happens like obviously it happens that you're talking to someone and then they just disappear. And that's okay. And like I
Yeah, yeah.
understand because like I do the same. But then we're kind of like
Yeah, we all
trying
do
to
it.
apply those rules universally, and that helps
Yeah.
to drive results in the long run.
Yeah. Well, good. In a minute, I want to hear that other video that you were playing me earlier this morning, where the lady wasn't aware that this on your lot builder had a special easy financing program. So I can't wait to hear that. But before we get to that, you were telling me also that you believe that builders are sitting on a gold mine, with their database, but they don't know how to access it, and you have a way to help them. Could you elaborate on that for me if you don't mind, Dan?
Oh yeah, sure. So I think that in general, like, part of the conversation was that it's most of the builders think of their aged lead database as like dead leads, essentially, right? Like, we even
Right.
like, I think that we had this several times, that we would talk to someone, and they may have migrated from Lassa to HubSpot or something else, and they would just like
Right.
delete thousands of leads because
Oh,
because they just had
couldn't get hold of them.
very
Yeah, they're
low
dead to them. Yeah.
very low faith that it can lead to something. And in our experience, we saw that, like, even leads that have been sitting in the CRM for like 9 years, 10 years, even more, they may be brought back into the process. And
Yeah.
actually, like, I think that the part of our thesis is that we believe that they're more valuable, because actually,
Yeah.
like, in real estate, especially new construction, like, trust is a very important component, right? And there's
Right.
nothing that is bringing more trust and understanding that the builder that you talked to like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, actually hasn't been standing in the same place. They've been developing, they've been
Sure.
using new
Things
innovations,
have
they've been
changed.
building more homes, they've
Yeah.
got a better process. And then you kind of like, you feel that, you spent and you invested enough your time in a relationship, and that helps you
Right.
to get back in the process. So the part of the things that we do with the home builders before we start, we try to help them to understand what your lead database actually worth. So usually the way how it happens that that's quite complicated process. We ask a lot of questions. We analyze like how long leads been there, how often they're being touched, what kind of the tools and technology
So
we're
an
using.
audit, basically. You have an audit format that you go through to
Yeah,
help them maximize
we
their
have an
output. Yeah.
audit. We have an audit, but like, also that we were thinking that, just like, since we've got like such great relationships with you, and like actually, I think that we became friends. We
Good.
were thinking that we may offer. Usually, when we do that for builders, they pay us for that, but
Oh, okay. That's fair.
we wanted to offer 20 free audit spots
Wow.
for your listeners.
Well,
So
amazing. Thank you
yeah,
so much. So let me stop the presses. I make sure I hear it correctly. So a process that you normally charge to audit what the builder is currently doing, what the value of their database, likelihood of success, because builder might not want to invest in something if they don't see the return. So what you're saying is that you'll do a free audit for the first 20 builders that call you.
correct. Yeah,
Contact
it's
you.
not
We'll have
even
a
call
form to
you.
open up.
Yeah,
High five. Let me just give you a high five there.
yeah, yeah.
I
Let's
feel
do
like boring.
it.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. All right, that's great. That's amazing. Yeah, that's. I know they're sitting on a gold mine. I've imagined a business where I could say, "Hey, guess what, builder? I'll buy your database for you for pennies on the dollar," because they pay a lot of money for those databases. Each lead it depends on the level of traffic. I have some builders who, a cost per walk-in lead might be as low as $100. I've got others where it's close to $1,000, but they're just not getting much traffic, and yet 6 months, 8 months, dead lead, not going to follow up, or they're going to go to a drip campaign, which is, which doesn't get much return on investment. So you're saying, let's leverage your database. Let's help you get get those leads back in the door. It's very
Yeah,
generous.
I'm just saying, like, yeah, what we are offering here, we can
Very
evaluate your
nice.
lead database,
Yeah.
give you
Yeah.
a certain idea of how much they can
Yeah.
worth in terms of number of contracts that you're may be able
Right.
to extract to them, based
Yeah.
on your average sales price, based on your historic conversions and other things.
Amazing.
And you will have the picture, and then you may
Right.
decide like how you
Yeah.
want to tackle that. But
And I work with all size builders, builders that might do 50 homes a year to some that might do over 1,000, and so database sizes vary. So what are we talking the size of database? 3,000 names, 10,000, 50,000? Like what have you rolled up your sleeves and got dug into with in terms of numbers? And if it is larger, how do you recommend they go about getting you to contact those people?
yeah, like, I think we worked with very different, as little as like 500 leads, like with a builder who just like cleaned their CRM and deleted a lot of contacts,
Okay.
and as big as couple of millions, right?
Really?
And
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Incredible.
and like I think that generally approach is quite similar. And what we see usually that most of the builders that we work with, they first try to see how that works on some of the like lower probability leads and just like to better understand the process, what kind of results you're getting out of that, and then like
Mhm.
scale it up to like the higher probability. But it's the more you have, the like more I feel like more overwhelming it gets in a way that we've had several situations when home builders asked us to pause our AI and stop scheduling appointments because their sales reps were getting so overwhelmed with
You're
tours and
kidding.
everything.
My
Yeah,
gosh, what a problem, what a
and
nice problem to
it's
have. So a builder that I think prior didn't have enough business, didn't have enough leads, and it was, let's talk to marketing and buy more leads. And all of a sudden, because of what you've done with Jome, now the sales are like, we've got enough appointments. Can you turn it off for a while and let us get
yeah,
caught up?
yeah, and that's
That's
also and
amazing. That's
yeah,
amazing
that's
news. I
different.
mean, I'm
That's different type
shocking.
of the problem. And like we always, when we're talking about this with the phone builders, they first like kind of like skeptical about that, like, oh,
Of
that's not gonna
course.
happen with us. But then like you actually realize that like when it's happening, and then your sales reps are basically telling you, hey, like boss, we're sorry, we're not
Right.
able to follow up
Right.
with them on time. I'm just like I'm forgetting. Like it requires system. Like it's
We
really
need to
hard.
get Jome
It's
back on it. Yeah.
kind of like if you're preparing for the marathon or you're going to gym, you can't like go from running 1 mile to doing
Right.
like
125.
10
Right.
miles
That's right.
overnight, right? And
Right.
that's
Right.
and we think about that in the same way. That's why
Interesting.
we
Yeah. You
really
gotta pace
try
yourself.
to careful like listen to them carefully, check
Yeah.
the information, look like at what's the
Yeah.
capacity, how they're working, and because like it actually like it's you may think that it's like, oh, that's a good problem to have, but then like you out of nothing you start getting like fear of missing out. You start thinking like, oh, we're getting all of those leads, all of those appointments, how
Are you
good are
converting
we
them? Yeah.
servicing, what kind of
Yeah.
experience are we delivering them, are we able to service them in a way that we would like to, considering like the volume and everything. And then you just like
Amazing.
start to that. But yeah, these
Yeah.
are
Well,
fun times for sure.
fun problems. Why don't we do this? Let's play another recording because the people that tuned in and heard the first one, they might have thought, well, that's a one-off and that's a fluke or whatever. So let's hear the one. I think it's Gloria calls in, or you call Gloria, and let's listen to that one.
Hi, Gloria.
This is she.
Great. Hey, Gloria, this is Max calling on behalf of. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Wonderful. You were in touch with us some time ago about building a home. Is that still something you're exploring?
Well, y'all stopped the y'all had not a program, but y'all would put your land as collateral, and y'all said y'all don't do that anymore.
I don't have that information on my end right now, but I can tell you about our program. It allows the land to act as your down payment with no construction loan on your end and no closing costs. How does that sound?
Good.
Awesome. Gloria, let me go ahead and set up an appointment for you to chat with one of our new home consultants.
Now,
Just
where are you located?
has design centers in multiple locations. From your profile, it looks like you're looking to build in Essex, Virginia. The nearest design center for that area is located in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Does that work for you?
Oh, I'm actually in the state of California right now, but I'll be back there in June.
No problem at all. Since you're currently in California, we can set up a virtual tour for you. It's a 1-hour video call with a new home consultant, and you can have the same conversation from wherever you are.
No, I'll wait for it when I get there in June. Anytime after the 6th.
This will just take a sec. One moment. I found availability on Wednesday, June 10th at 9:30 Eastern for an in-person discovery tour at the Fredericksburg Design Center. Would that work for you?
Yes, it would.
Here we go. That was quick. Caught me
Yeah.
off guard. Okay, let me come back if I may. Stop sharing. There we go. Incredible. So what I love about that recording, first of all, you can tell it's very authentic, but that lady had been in and thought that builder didn't have a particular program where you use your land as collateral. They never stopped having that program. So she was wondering, she was operating under this false assumption, which looked like many, many years. And all of a sudden it just took a phone call from you and your, was it Max? Is that the AI on that call?
Yeah, yeah,
Phone call
yeah.
from Max to say, no, we still have that program and the sales rep will run it. So, and she was so happy to now come back in and fulfill her dream. And that's what I think people need to be, to be reminded of, that you're helping builders fulfill the dream of home ownership. You're not being pushy. You're not being robotic. You're not negatively impacting the brand. You're helping them build the brand, and you're just bringing back happy people who go, this is great. I didn't think I could buy a home. The guy before didn't know about the incentive that had been there a while, and that got him back in the door. And so sometimes it just takes that prod from you guys to get them back in, but it's such a wonderful service that you're providing.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Roland. But yeah, that's something that we're dealing quite often. That when we are managing to reconnect with buyers, very often they stop responding not because of of the price or budget or some things that you cannot control, but they may have created some sort of bias for themselves that kind of like stopped them at a certain
Yeah,
point, and then they never reached out back to clarify that, and
interesting.
no one reached out to
Yeah,
them to help them move forward. So that's
yeah.
happening very often, and likely every builder has plenty of leads like that in their
Right.
CRMs.
Right. And incredible. So as far as results, you sort of talked about it before. If you want to speak to that, and we'll start to wrap up in a little bit. But in terms of results, like what are you seeing? And I think we're going to be careful. I know I've spoken to some sales directors, and they're comparing stats to hot leads that have just shown up. But you're talking about leads that it might have been in your database for anywhere from 2 to 10 years or something. So what kind of results are you seeing out there with your builders across the country?
Yeah, that's a great question. But in general, like I'll be honest, like it really depends on the quality of the leads, how long
I'm
they've been in
sure.
the CRM, what kind of outreach you used previously to connect with them, how much data you have, what are you
Right.
offering at this moment, right? So it's very different. But like what we've
Okay.
seen that if you're trying to re-engage with them with people, like basically you have OSCs that are trying to reach them, very often like the conversion range from the outreach to the appointment would be in a range from 0.9 to 1.1%. So basically,
Okay.
from every 1,000
Well,
leads, you will be able to connect with 9 to 11, right?
right. Right.
What
Yeah. Yeah.
we've
That makes
learned that when our AI is doing that, we are getting that in the range from 3.5 to
wow.
5.1%. So that's
Really?
basically, yeah, so that's effectively like 3 to 5 times more. The
Oh my gosh.
reason,
Mhm.
yeah,
Can I just let that resonate? But
go ahead.
I don't want to. I know I interrupt you so much, but that's extraordinary. That it's 3.5 to 5% with leads that are probably older than the ones the OSCs. I don't think OSCs are going back 5 years. I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but
So
it's
this is
that's usually what we're
even
seeing. And then like if we're talking
incredible.
like taking that farther, right, we can calculate the conversion to tour, the conversion tour to
Right.
contract that usually the home builder has. And it's also like where we see numbers ranging massively. We've seen home builders who have like 15% tour to contract conversion. We've seen builders who have
Okay.
45% tour to
Oh wow.
contract conversion. So it
Right.
really, yeah, really depends there. But like I think that that's the part what our audit is helping with. So if we ask you
Yeah.
those questions and we better understand what conversions you're working with, what kind of leads you have there, and we can compare that to all of the builders that we previously work with and give you
Right.
like the better idea what it works, like you're getting a lot better idea. But I would say that it's usually you should expect like a certain number of appointments per every 1,000 of leads,
Right.
and then
Right.
certain number of contracts from that as well.
That makes sense, but and obviously the level of appointment that actually shows up that you get from an old lead is going to be less than somebody that just. I would presume, I'd say it obviously, but I would presume the appointment showing up is going to be less than a hot lead that just came into the system within the last 30 days. That's hard to trot, or is that not the case?
Yeah, it's definitely right. Like it's also really depends on the channel, right? So we've seen like it's actually that's a whole another topic. I feel like because it's also, how home builders are measuring different things. We've seen home builders
Sure.
like it's like I don't want to name no names, but we've been talking
No.
to a home builder, showing them like our product and talking about the conversions, and then they said that these numbers don't make sense, and we were like, which numbers? And they're like, your tour to contract conversion doesn't make sense. And there was like a pretty good and healthy conversion, actually, like, I mean, from our
Right.
perspective.
Yeah, yeah.
And we asked like, what kind of conversion would you expect? And they said, oh, like in our case, like out of 100 leads, we're getting like 80 contracts. That's our conversion that we see in the CRM. And I'm like, I was just like, I was thinking about that, and it's theoretically possible. Like, I mean, if that was like that, they would like
They must not know
just
their
could-
numbers. Yeah. So
Yeah, they
what
could
you're saying,
have
sometimes
done
people have
much.
misinformation. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
so we
makes
were
sense.
talking about it, and it turned out what actually happened, that their sales reps were only putting leads in the CRM before the
Oh,
contract.
okay. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were
And there
sandbagging
was
and only reporting the hot leads that they were about to write to make the conversion ratio.
there was
one in
this
one in
false
1.5 would be
impression.
crazy.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
was this false impression that everyone
see.
kind of like is buying, while in reality, what happened that they were only putting lead
Interesting.
in the CRM before they're about to write a contract. And
Fair enough.
then we talked about that, and just like, and there was like a lot of like, a lot of disbelief in that moment. But still, I would say that no matter like how well you understand your numbers, etc., there's definitely a big value in all of the leads that you've got. And
Yeah.
the big problem that I've seen, that like builders usually take two approaches, two stances in that. They either count the value of their database based on what they've spent on it, right? So basically, you just get a cost per lead from Facebook, from Google Ads, from some of the activities. You divide that by the number of leads, and you have like the understanding of the value, or like what you already were able to extract out of it. But in reality, it's not like that, because like every lead, every opportunity should be measured not by what you've spent on them or what you already received, but actually what you can get out of them in the future. And that's the same way how we're
Yeah.
kind of like trying
Yeah.
to underwrite every asset. And I think that just understanding that is very valuable for everyone.
Oh, it's very interesting. I just had this analogy, which probably isn't a good one, but I'm going to say it anyway because that's what I do. Which is, when you and I both love cars, and most luxury cars, when you buy them, they drop in value. Like if you buy, certain cars, you've lost $100,000 the moment you drive it off the lot. But Porsches hold their value. I think
Yeah.
the most Porsches will hold their value. I think that what you're doing is you're like the Porsche of the home building industry, because builders have given up the value for their database. They've just driven it off the lot. And if they can squeeze it quickly and get 6 months or 8 months worth of, of leads, going back 6 to 8 months, that's fine. Going back beyond that, I mean, you and I both have shared builders with you that have employed you and are thrilled. They just gave up. They have a database that's monolithic, that has no value to them whatsoever. It's gone to $0 because there's no one in the organization that's going to make 5,000 phone calls. As you said, it would take decades. And now you're turning it back into a Porsche. It's now a $100,000 vehicle, which is a weird analogy. I'm sorry, but you've given it back its value.
That's it. That's a great analogy. Like I'm still dreaming of my GT3 RS,
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Cars. Yeah. Well, my son always wanted me to get certain cars, which I love. But like, no, because I don't want to lose money. But you sort of got me thinking Porsches might be the way to go, because they never lose. Most don't lose value. But this is what you've done for us with our database. You've given the value back and found a way to monitor
Yeah.
it. You're also organizing it, right? So many of us have CRMs that are just in chaos. And I think that as you go through it, you clean up, you make notes. Is that true that your AI will actually put notes in so that we can all go, oh, this is what's now happening with that lead. And it might
Yeah,
still be
correct.
6 months or a year, but you at least can manage your own database
Yeah.
successfully.
Yeah, that's a big part of what we do, just like updating CRM and updating all of the records and the leads based on all of the interactions. But
Good.
that's all happening. And sometimes like I've been in rooms with home builders where you're talking to someone and you feel that, especially like there may be the person who's responsible for the CRM or the person who is responsible for SC,
Oh,
they
right.
they may start acting a bit defensive,
Yeah, of
But I
course,
just like
because you're
want
pointing
like
fingers at them.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I just want I want be very transparent here with this, and I want just like everyone to really understand that it's not your fault. It's
Right.
not the yeah, it's not the
Right.
performance issue. It's not that you fired like not the best people. It's not that you've trained them not in the best way.
Right.
It's nothing like that. You can have the
No.
most impressive and the best team of all times, but still they lack capacity because they're
Right.
humans, and
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it takes a lot of effort, a lot of time
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
humans to do certain things.
Well,
And the thing that
right.
is happening right now is a relatively new technology. It haven't been there
Right.
a year ago. It haven't been there like 2 years ago. And
Well,
right now,
yeah.
like I think that what everyone can do is just like leverage that technology faster. And that's the
Right.
thing that you can control. But if you're thinking that your conversion should have been
Well,
higher or something should have been different, it's not like that because you
no, no,
did your
I
best.
get, yeah, you're not pointing
Yeah.
fingers, yeah, because it's what's gone before. I get it completely, and there's that what's it called when you just give up? It's not dissatisfaction. It's like a depression thing that will set in. But you could just was it dissolution? Somebody will let me know. But anyway, it's when you walk by a problem but you can't fix it, so then you just let it go, and that's what's been happening in our industry with this. Well, one thing I'd like to address before we go, I know with the advent of AI, where it is exponential every day, I rely more and more on my AI for just silly questions. How to bake a cake the other day. How to make my mango pie go solid. So
No, that sounds
I just
delicious.
it was delicious. The next year I'll make you one with my mango tomato. But every time that happens, I think people think that they're more of an expert. So could you tell us why people, builders at home, can't really get where you are with Jome? I mean, I know you've invested millions, because you did raises to raise millions of dollars. But could you sort of talk through what you put together and why trying to replicate it yourself is probably not the best idea, even with the multitude of great AI out there?
Yeah, like I would say that in general, like there are certain things that you're able to do well, and like I mean, there's everyone has like a certain focus and what they're focusing on when they're doing their
Right,
business, right? It's uh that's what we focus on. I'm not saying that no one will never will be able to create
right,
something
right. Of
similar,
course.
right? But it will likely, like I mean, we've raised over $17 million. We've spent $1 million in this particular technology. We've hired people who've been doing that for a long time and who are at the edge of this AI technology. And it like that doesn't mean that no one can do that, but as far as I know at this moment we are the only ones who are doing that specifically for new construction.
Exactly.
We have conversations, we've trained like hundreds of thousands of conversation with new construction home buyers throughout our the story. We worked with over 1700 builders and seen like a lot of different use cases, so you can do that. Like the bar is quite high. And
Right,
instead of
right,
that, you can ask a question, how can I get this right away? And what kind of value I can
right.
extract from my business and what kind of value I can create for my sales by
Yes.
using that right now. And then like it's probably the best way to make a decision, because maybe your answer is I want to build it myself. I want to keep that internally. I want to grow it. I want to do it like something completely different. And maybe that's the right answer. But for most of the builders that we're talking to, they're usually thinking not about building that themselves, but they're thinking about like, should we hire 2 or 3 more people? And
Right.
should we make them people do something that they don't like to do? Or should
Well, they
we
can't
try
do.
this
Yeah.
technology that
Right.
can do it differently? Right. And that's
Yeah.
usually the question that you should ask yourself. You should ask yourself if that makes sense for you, like that that's fit in your goals, if that's
Yeah.
something that you're open and interested to try, and then make a decision based on that. But
Yeah. And look, then I want to thank you, because I think that, knowing you as I do, you are giving great value. Your prices are very, very reasonable. You scale it based upon the size of the builder and their database. So you've been very, very fair about it. And I'm very convinced that there's not a builder out there that could replicate it. They couldn't do it as well. but they wouldn't be saving any money because you're giving a great value. Are you still offering some of those pilot programs? I know we had some pilot programs. I think there were a few available. I don't know if you've still got some slots available
Yeah,
for your.
we just builder per builder basis. But in the end of the day, in terms of the pricing, no matter what you do, like I mean, the way how we're thinking about that in Joe, we really believe in 10x concept. That like I mean, basically, in order to build a better solution, you should be at least 10x better. So being 2x better or 4x better is not enough because it's basically
Okay.
it's making still very complicated to make someone change their behavior. But after you're at least like 10x better, it's becoming significantly better. And like the way how we think
Interesting.
of this, that like there's multiple ways how you can get there, right? I've already mentioned the conversion, that we are trying to keep our conversion rates like 3 to 5 times better. Then on the other side, if we're getting back to leads, we try to get also back to them like 5 times faster than the person can, or like ideally the same time.
Sure.
And then the same
Yeah.
thing comes to the pricing, right? If you are comparing this with hiring a person and you're
Sure.
thinking of this and like it should be like the same cost, being that the same cost is not going to convince you to make a decision fast. So we're trying, like the way how we're looking at this, we try to compare how much does it cost for a one person to process a lead versus how much does it cost us to do the same. And we've got
Mhm.
to the point where basically working with Joe on average, depending once again, like where you are, where your OSCs are, is 7 to 15 times more effective than hiring a person.
Amazing.
So
Yeah.
you can
Totally
think of
believe it.
that usually the way how we see that
Yeah.
cost per one fully processed lead for Joe is going to be roughly $1.80, while for
Oh,
a
wow.
person it's going to be in a range of $20 if you take their time.
Interesting. Yeah, we'd have
all
to
the
get into that
attempts.
math probably with our viewership to explain it better. But it's considerably less expensive and considerably more effective. I don't know if we even finished saying it, but when you call in the morning drive, lunchtime drive, and evening drive, you can make hundreds of calls at once at that time. It's not like you're making one outbound phone call. So your AI is really calling your
Yeah.
your database. You set a number based upon phone numbers that you have available from that local area code. But there's not a there's not a team that could do that. You'd have to have 100 salespeople, OSCs sitting there waiting to get to lunchtime. All right, let's all call right. It's just you're not going to do it, and that would cost millions of dollars in salaries that we not
Yeah,
getting.
yeah. I
It's just
think
a win
like
on every level.
yeah, to be honest, like from what I'm seeing right now, I think that in general, people making cold calls and like are
Yeah,
just like follow-up calls, that
yeah,
part of the job
yeah.
is likely going away in the next few years. I'm not
I
here
love
like to
that.
make
Yeah, why
any
not?
sort of like predictions, but like we already see that like at least like with some of the customers
Right.
that we're working with, OSC is taking like more elevated role when they
Yeah.
are really like to build a connection, to advise, to consult, to help with some of the things where you just
Interesting.
really
Yeah.
want to establish that like more of the personal connection,
Right.
or like managing those
Yeah.
agents together and helping
Yes.
like to curate them versus just like making call
That's a good
after call
point.
after call.
Yep, because your AI could direct the lead to your OSC, who then gets on the phone, and then and she or he may say, "Great, based upon that, let me make sure you go over and see Sam over in in Canyon Drive or something
Yeah.
like that, wherever the community." So it's not you're absolutely right. You may still need the OSC to be the quarterback of the leads. In the examples that we played, the OSC sent the leads to a particular office. It was quite incredible. I know the one builder. There are community builders where it would attempt to send it to a neighborhood, and then you have your on your lot builders where it would send them to the design studio. But it could also send it just to the OSC, where Sheila will call you in the morning and make an appointment for you to go to the
Yeah.
right place. So either way, you're getting a buyer to resurface one that was dormant, if not dead. You've now resuscitated it, and you've now got that lead eager to come back in and buy a home. So it's amazing. Really quickly, do we want to play the recording where the gentleman was so grateful to address the concerns over the brand? Shall we play that one and play that you played for me? And that came about where people were concerned that maybe their brand is being affected negatively. You want to send me that one?
Oh yeah, that's yeah. I think I know which one you're talking about. It's actually a
All
really
right.
interesting case with with more senior gentlemen
Yeah.
who,
Yeah.
and here's like what's really important to mention. We always say that it's not a real person, right? So we believe that
Right.
it's right
Yeah.
to set a clear expectations, usually the
Right.
way
You're
how
not
we go
tricking
about it,
people.
but
Yeah.
we say that it's digital assistant. And the problem is that it's so much human-like that very often people like instantly ignore and forget about that. And like I think
Right.
that
Because
that
we're all desperate for
conversation,
connection. We all want friends. And like your AI is now
yeah.
your best buddy.
And I think that that one conversation that you mentioned that you want to play, it's kind of like shows what happens when there's like, it's happening in what's happening
Oh, sweet.
in that
All
process.
right.
And where are you located, may I ask?
I'm a digital assistant for. I help connect buyers with the right team. If you'd prefer to speak with a person directly, I can have one of our sales reps give you a call.
No, Max. Max, that's wonderful. Listen, you have done an excellent job. You have listened to me. You have responded. You've been crystal clear. You've been courteous. And I'm very much impressed, Max. I want to thank you for your time and also for your assistance and how you've done it.
Thank you so much, Terry. I really appreciate your kind words. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and I'm glad I could help. If you have any more
Max,
questions,
is there some way where I can give a positive evaluation on your call? I would like for your superiors and for the office to know that I was very much impressed with how you handled me and assisted me today.
thank you so much, Terry. Your feedback means a lot. I'll make sure to pass your kind words along to the team. If there's anything else you need, feel free to reach out. Safe travels and have a great day.
Isn't that nice? So there we go.
This one is definitely a nice one.
And
So
Tyler, actually.
yeah, and also we've been talking more to home builders that build like adult communities, 55 plus
Mhm.
communities.
Yeah.
And that's always like, I mean, there's this feedback or this concern, like how do people
Sure.
like a more senior age population, like how
Mhm.
they're going to react to AI. And like I think that it's actually that's what we find like very interesting, that younger population, if you're thinking about like Gen Z or younger millennials, they're like text messages more, and that's like the part of the culture definitely, so that
Yeah.
they consider
Snapchat
calling
and stuff.
someone like more rude, and if you want to chat with someone you do text messages, and that's totally fine. But then like there's still like majority of people who are buying new construction today, it's at a different age group, but they want to have a
Yeah.
conversation, would have personal conversation. They
Yeah.
want to talk to someone who knows what happened before, who kind of like knows their situation and everything.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
love it.
also like I feel that where AI could be really good, just like bringing up like little nuggets of information, putting them there
Yeah.
correctly, listen to
Yeah.
them, and really listen, like making notes and structuring that information, and it really
Right.
helps to drive
Yeah.
better experience.
No, it's really important. So for the salespeople out there, we still need to put great notes in the CRM, or the OSC needs to put great notes in the CRM, because that helps the AI to really connect quickly with that potential buyer. And it's one of those things that sort of drives me crazy. I had it happen a few days ago where I'd called a particular company interested in their product, and they had a vetting process, which I thought was good. So the first person said, "Give me your info." I did, and how I heard about you, what I wanted. What my expectations were. Great. Then I had another phone call with somebody else that vetted me. I said, all right, I don't mind doing this. It's a big product that I'm looking at, and it's or service. And so I did it twice. And then I had the phone call with the sales rep, and he said, tell me about what you're looking for. I was like, well, I've done that twice already. Like, really? I got to start from the beginning? And I was in a bad mood the whole phone call. I was like, well, screw you guys. I mean, I thought you had a vetting process to save me going through that. I thought you were going to Google me and know about me and be prepared for this phone call. And I was going to buy your product at the end of the phone call. But instead, I was in a half and just like, all right, whatever kind of stuff. And what you're saying is that you're doing it correctly. You're reading the notes. You're listening to phone calls. You're communicating with these past lookers, but you're really connecting with them so they feel comfortable to come back in. You're
Yeah, yeah,
leveraging the
definitely.
past to build momentum for the future, really.
Yeah, yeah. And it's also like, I mean, I think that it's in general like a better way to do it, no matter if you use Jome or you do it yourself. That's like what I'm doing with my process, right? Like it's also recording every call, analyzing
Mhm.
that, then using
Sure.
AI to put
Yeah.
all of the notes in every deal, then put together follow-ups based on that, put together proposals based on that, include all of
Right.
the information, capture little details that people mention. Sometimes they're like, best for me. Like I don't think of myself as like a really good salesperson because very often it's happening that I talk to someone, they tell me something, and then I'm just like I have one impression, but then I'm analyzing everything with AI, the transcripts, the
Yeah.
conversation,
Yeah. Yeah.
everything, and I was just like, oh, so that's what they meant. Oh, that's what they
Right.
want,
Right.
and
Absolutely.
yeah, and
Real
that
good at that.
really. Yeah, that really helps. And I know like that a lot of builders already using that with the different uh training tools like
Yeah. Yeah.
for sure like we talked about.
Which are
Yeah,
excellent. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, that's kind of like the other side of the process, right? So let's imagine that you already use like Rilla,
Really.
Zero,
Yeah.
or like
Which is a great company.
other
We
tools.
work with them all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, you get the data, but what do you do next, right? How do you turn that information into actionable item? You already have information in your CRM, or you've got like any
Right.
information to CRM, but how do
Right.
we
Right.
extract value out of that? And for that, you need action. But
Yep.
very often it's hard to put that action to work where when you have to make like 10,000 actions, you just think
Yeah.
it's either
No, no.
like too
So
little or too many, and
yeah, if I can jump in on that, then again, so that's great. So what you're saying is if they have if the builder has a company like Rilla, which is a ride-along app that's been created recently, and a lot of builders we work with love them. It records everything that goes on. Your AI will actually listen to those Rillas before the phone call
Yeah,
to
yeah. So
extract
yeah,
out
we
what's there.
listen.
Wow.
We go through transcripts or through details
You do.
that Relay is putting into CRM, and then act on
I
them.
see.
But I think that like I mean we like working with builders who are already using some sort of AI tools because that makes the application of
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
our AI a lot more powerful. So
Good, good.
that's what we
So
definitely
it's
like.
not one or the other. You can build these on top of each other. You can have
Yeah, definitely. It's
a
much
ride
better.
along.
It's much better to do it both.
Sure.
Because
Nice.
yeah, like it just really depends on how you
Yeah.
look at that and what kind of like outcome you want to receive. But it's
Yeah.
generally like I think today it's kind of it's very dangerous to not use AI, because there's a very high probability that your competitors, like even
Yeah.
in the same
Yeah.
market, they're actively using
Well,
that and they have a competitive advantage. That's how they gain an advantage. And I think that's
yeah.
really important to
You're gonna
at
get
least
left
like be
behind.
conscious of that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I know again, I've known you a while now, and I really value you as a person. You've got so much integrity, and you really are pricing this very fairly. Since you seem to be first to market, specializing in builders. I know that there's outbound AI tools, but they don't know about builders. You've spent your whole life like me, in the builder world, so you've catered it specifically, and yet you're still giving great value to make sure as many builders get in early and really are able to maximize their database. And now you're doing other things such as inbound calls and all those other management details that you
Yeah.
talked about. So you're rolling with it.
No, it's still, yeah, I still like, it's obviously like sometimes we're thinking about that as a team that we've built all of this technology and this great product that's able to do these things. And we're thinking about like, can we apply that for other industries? And
Yeah, for sure.
probably the answer is yes, right? And we can do it. And that wouldn't be that challenging. But like still for everyone in our team, there's something so rewarding in doing that for home builders and home buyers and
Yeah,
basically
yeah,
seeing that stuff that you do is helping people to get closer to home ownership, is helping them to live happier lives, build
yeah.
wealth, just feel
Oh,
safer. And
right.
yeah, and
Yeah,
that's why like I mean we would rather focus on this and make sure that we
yeah.
do the best job for home builders
Right,
then do that like for everyone or for other verticals and
right.
like compromise on that type of value that we deliver for
I
this
appreciate
specific
that.
group.
I had that in common because I've written my books for home building only, really. And so people say, why don't you make it more general? And I think they're probably right in terms of the economics of it. But I just know about home building. I've spent 4 decades in it, and that's what I've become an expert on. And that's what you're doing as well. It's what you know and you care about. And so there's a definite authenticity to that. So just to be clear, some builders, if they want a free audit, we'll put the info on the free audit. You just fill in the blanks, and you're offering a free audit for builders, the first 20, I think you said. And then you also are still taking on new builders and doing a pilot program. So they don't want the audit, we'll go straight to let's talk about the investment. They can do that as well. And I'll put your data on there. Would you like to share info now, or should I just put it in the thread and let them find it that way?
Yeah, so the link is audit.jome.com, right?
Audit.jome.com, easy. Well done.
Yeah, if you want to reach out to me, or like the best way to do it is through email, and it's Dan at jome.com, right?
All right. There's the CEO of a company offering his own email. That's a very unusual thing to do, Dan. So I'm impressed. All right.
Well, we're open, right? So I'm sure that anyone else would do the same. So.
Oh, well, good. Anything else that you'd like to share? Where do you think the future is going with Jome and AI, and what are we looking at in a couple of years? What are we going to be surprised about? That's probably well within your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I don't know, Roland. Like, I mean, I'm naturally, I'm an optimist, right? So I think that future is going to be brighter and happier, and it's definitely. I think that there's a lot of things we are dealing with, especially home builders are dealing with in this market, right? So on one side, we see all of this stuff with interest rates and the economy. On the other side, we're seeing the record high consolidation. So Berkshire acquired Taylor Morrison. Then Dreamfinders bought Beazer. People are kind of don't know where the market is going. But look, I think it's what's really important. Like, I think you brought that in a really nice way, that home builders are dream builders. They're just like helping people to achieve their dream of home ownership. And like, I think that if you keep focusing on that and you keep thinking about like how to drive the best experience for every home buyer, there's automatically going to be a lot of value in this, and every business that thinking that way is going to be incredibly successful. So I'm an optimist. I think that future is going to be better than what we have today. And if we look through like the last hundreds of years, generally it's been true. So I think that AI and new technology, as like, I mean, it's happening in the past with technology, was also help us to achieve that. And like, I know that there's a lot of people that are kind of like, scared of like, oh, is AI going to take away our job? Oh, what are we gonna do? And like everything. I think AI is gonna help us to do our job better. The same as electricity helped us to do jobs better. Cars helped us to do job better. Computers helped us to do job better.
Maps on our phone, or maps on the car, whatever, as opposed to paper maps. There's been AI, even calling for movie times or whatever. Picking your seat at the cinema.
Exactly.
Talking about leisure.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna be the same. The only thing, like, I mean, that's what we can control if that will happen or not, because like one thing that I think about the future and technology, like you can't control it. You can't control the adoption, the expansion, or anything, but everyone is able to make their own decision, like about like, when is that going to happen with me? How I'm going to use it? How I'm going to react to that? I'm going to deny that, or I'm going to adopt that. And I think that that's the question that everyone is asking themselves, and that's really defining what's their personal future going to be like. I'm sure that everyone will make a right and better decision for themselves, and everyone is kind of like, I think it's the beautiful thing about America, that everyone more or less is able to control their own future and their own destiny. So that's exciting.
And I agree entirely. I think that as a home builder, you have an obligation to maximize the potential of the company if you work there. And so by investing a small amount in someone like you at Jome to bring back old leads in your database, they're still going to meet with a human that's going to charm them and close them and connect with them. We still need that human interaction, but why not just do a much better job at maximizing the databases and our profits? So I'm totally with you. And I'll look forward to a glass of wine with you in Kiev at some point.
Yeah. Thank you, Roland.
All right. Thank you so much, Dan. We really appreciate it. It's been amazing. The time has flown. Thanks for creating this, and thanks for taking such great care
Yeah,
of all
thank
of
you
our
for
builders
having me.
out there.
Really appreciate that.
You're very welcome. All right, take care.
Thank you.
Bye.